Molt bon dia, amigues, amics. Ens trobem a punt de començar les representacions de la Sonnambula i no podíem comptar amb ningú millor per totes i tots vosaltres que Nadine Sierra. Nadine,
Hola.
Thank you so much for agreeing to be here with us. You're super busy with all this packed schedule of rehearsals and everything. And I just wanted to do a quick conversation with you for the amics and amigas to get to know you better. And I had everything thought, but then Sunday happened.
Ah, yes.
So just threw all all my script, like
Sorry.
everything imploded. No, on the contrary. How was it? So many of us were there and we were so happy. Like, it was kind of scheduled to just last for 2 hours, but just things went crazy.
Yes. Went for almost 3 hours, I think.
Oh yes, it went for. How was it?
It was amazing. I'll tell you maybe a little bit of a backstory because Pretty Yende and myself,
Yes.
we have done a few of these duo concerts together. I think the first one we did with Pablo Mielgo, who was the conductor of this concert on Sunday. It was in Vienna the first time we did this, maybe in 2021 it could be. And I mean, Pretty and I, we've known each other since we were teenagers, I want to say, because we worked with the same vocal coach whose name is Kamal Khan, and he introduced us to each other when I visited South Africa. And she was at the university, she was at Cape Town University, so she was a student. And now that we've, seen our careers developing and obviously becoming colleagues, we thought it would be quite an interesting project, and we were right, because we work very well together actually. Sure. And we enjoy each other's presence and each other's musicality. So I missed her, I will say, on Sunday. But because Pablo and myself, we've worked together many times before, and especially on these solo kind of concerts, we were able to fix the program when Pretty had to cancel because of family matters. But we were able to fix the program very quickly with the solo repertoire. And Pablo, for me, is one of these maestros that I get along with, not just in a collegial way, but also in a friendship way.
You could see that.
Yeah, that's good.
You could see that.
And I think that's very important for these kinds of fast changes with programs, because it could be a tough situation to add a bunch of repertoire and try to have a good relationship with not only maestro but the orchestra. But thankfully everything went well. It was super enjoyable, and I really felt like I was singing in a big living room or something with all of my friends and even family, because I do feel that way here, and I feel I've been embraced in that way, and that very much helps. It makes performing not only, as I said, enjoyable, but easy, just fluid, smooth, to a point where we can extend the concert for 3 hours.
Yes.
That's eventually what happens.
Out of the 2 that were scheduled.
Yeah. So, and anyways, that concert, it just makes me feel even more excited for La Sonnambula.
Sure.
Because again, it's just solidifying this relationship that I definitely feel with this public. And I hope that they feel that from me too, that it's reciprocated.
Sure. And let me tell you, she'll kill me because, my mother ended crying. I ended crying.
Really?
And you could just see around. And for example, there was a lady behind me. I mean, the smile could not get any wider. It was amazing. And actually, I wanted to ask you, because there is this next generation of opera singers where you just talk with friends that we go to the opera together and they don't see, we've seen Gruberova. They tell me, we went to Nadine's performance. And it's fantastic because, I do think that this next generation, and pardon me if I'm labeling it this way, we kind of feel a very, very special bond. Like,
that's good.
I've been coming for many, many years to the theater, but like, with you, for example, since Lucia, and nowadays it's kind of, we kind of feel so close, and it was a long time since I saw a recital where you just, you know, had to go out and say, I have no more voice. I'm very thankful for you and your love and everything. And how do you feel when you just have this audience loving you so much? Because I think love is the term in the end.
I feel very grateful, and I maybe think about it a little bit broader than just myself, because, you know, when I was a young girl and I fell in love with opera when I was 10, and anyways, I loved to sing even from the time I was 5, 6 years old. I always had this obsession with serving music and giving it to people, you know, because it gave so much to me.
Sure.
So it's kind of this cycle of wanting to give it back. And it just makes me so happy when I see people enjoying exactly what I enjoyed from the very moments that I was introduced to it, you know, and how much it changed my life, and it's still changing my life and enriching my life quite a lot. So when I see that, it makes me feel like all of this work that I've done and all the love that I've given to opera, because it's given that to me, it's been all worthwhile, and it's all been something that for sure from the very moments when I was very young, I had a reason to treasure it, and I still have a reason to treasure it. So yes, I feel that love, but I guess I interpret it as the love for the art form itself. True. And I'm just a servant to it, you know. Sometimes it's hard for me to put myself at the forefront of it all, because I'm a very humble person, and I always believe that when you maybe take things a little bit too much for yourself, karma has a way of showing you it's not really about you, you know, it's about something much broader than that. And that's kind of how I do these things with opera, with performing in front of a public. I really try not to make it about myself. I try to make it really about the bigger picture, because it is about the bigger picture. And if I can add anything that, you know, Gruberova gave to the world, or Sutherland, or Beverly Sills, or Maria Callas, or, you know, all these great, not just artists, but women, if I can add to that pile, I feel super thankful and appreciative of that, you know.
Yeah. Goosebumps.
Yeah, it's kind of an amazing thing.
And you said you kind of felt this calling around 5 or 6,
Yes.
and we wanted to know a little bit how you started facturing that you entered the opera studio at 14, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I did. I started singing, taking voice lessons when I was 6. I was always singing and kind of performing around the house for my parents, with my sisters. And Disney was what brought me to music, because I am an American person and singer, and of course, you know, all of the Disney princesses, they were my first idols.
Any favorite one?
Ariel.
I have the same one. Oh, I love.
Yes.
I love the mermaid. Yeah,
Little Mermaid.
For sure.
She was the one, and I'm still, you know, obsessed with the Little Mermaid, and she really brought me to wanting to be a singer and just lose myself in music every single day. And then when I was 10 years old, because of course my mother really saw this fascination for music making, and she heard in my voice sort of a hint of operaticism in the way that I would sing. And she thought, I wonder if my daughter would be interested in classical music and opera. And she was right. She introduced me to La Bohème. That was my first opera that I saw. And from there, I told my mom, I think I want to be an opera singer. And she said, well, you can try, but no, takes a lot of discipline and a lot of work. And I guess even from then, I was willing to do this work because I just felt inside of myself that it was maybe my destiny, and I had to be part of this somehow. So I started taking lessons even then at 10 for opera, you know, and taking on little arias and lead some art songs in French and Italian, and just going from there. And now I'm almost 37, and here I am, you know. So, and I never looked elsewhere. I never looked into pop. I never looked into musical theater, which could be a very typical thing for an American artist. It was never my interest. Opera was always the thing that I wanted to do. And so from there, I've just built upon this childhood that I had, and here I am today. And I listened to all of these great singers, you know. I listened to Mirella Freni when I was growing up, Mariella De Via, of course, Maria Callas. And even some tenors. Luciano Pavarotti is a very big one for me because of very specific things. But it's like I not only fell in love with opera, but I fell in love with the singers who gave so much of themselves to opera and to this art form, and why this art form for so many is so inspiring even still today. Even when these people are not even here anymore, you know? And maybe in a way, if I can be of service to that for the younger generation, even my generation, I'm thrilled by that. Because I know what it feels like.
Sure. And oh boy, you two were right, because all the accolades, the Noy Stillen, the Richard Tucker, the Beverly Sills, I mean, and plus all the applauses from so many nights. So
yes, it paid off. But I also had, and I have still, tremendous guidance and tremendous teachers who brought me to the place I am now. I would never be able to just do this by myself, or just be able to be in this position with the love of opera alone. I had and I have a lot of advice, and very good advice, from people that have been in my life for a very long time. One in particular, who is my vocal coach, has been for 23 years. It's a long time. His name is Kamal Khan. I love him. I adore him. He is an absolute genius when it comes to repertoire, but not just because he's of his interests, but because, like me, he's so in love with the art form and wants to serve it as best as humanly possible. I met him when I was 13 years old. Can you imagine that? And it was at Palm Beach Opera. You had mentioned this young artist program that I entered into. It was Palm Beach Opera that was the young artist program I was in from 14 to 18. I started working with this company as an opera chorus member. I think I was the youngest chorus member they ever had.
Probably,
because,
I mean.
Yeah, because usually a 14-year-old would be in the children's chorus, not in the adult opera chorus. But Kamal was the one who gave me that opportunity. He was at the time the assistant conductor of the house, and also it was the chorus maestra of the house. So he asked me, you know, Nadine, if you want more experience in opera, do you want to be part of the group of this team that we have at Palm Beach Opera? And I said, yeah, I mean, sure. So I got to watch a lot of soloists, some that are still singing today and some that are now my colleagues, you know. I got to watch some of their careers flourish. You know, two of them that I saw from early on was Eileen Perez. I saw her doing even Papagena. She was singing Papagena, and now she's singing Mimi and Traviata, and you know, it's incredible. And I saw Lucas Mitchem as well, who's still my colleague. I saw him doing his, you know, some of his first works. He was doing Papageno, actually, speaking of Papageno and Papagena, and so many others. And I learned from them, and I'm still learning from them in many, many ways. So if it hadn't been for Pambi Chopra, Kamal, the whole experience, I don't know. It gave me this preparation and this introduction to opera into how it works, how it all comes together. That I think I still have inside of me now. You know, I know what it takes because I had that foresight even from such a young age. So I guess now it's over 20 years that I'm in the opera world.
And there is one professor of yours that I was thinking, like, how can you have her as a professor? My mouth would be lockjaw all the time. Marilyn Horne,
Yes.
I could die.
Marilyn Horne. I met her when I was 17. I met her in New York. And you know, the story of meeting her is very funny. Because I watched Marilyn Horne, of course, all my life, and when I saw her on platforms like YouTube, when YouTube first came out, I thought of Marilyn as being this, you know, very tall, very grand woman. And when I met her in New York, I was shocked that she's super tiny, super little.
So petite.
So petite and so cute, and just, you know, like my grandmother, you know. And I wasn't sure it was her, and I had to ask her, "Are you Marilyn Horne?" She said, "Yes, who do you think I am?" So I auditioned for her because she used to have these master classes that she would give at Carnegie Hall in New York. And I wanted to be part of that because, I mean, to learn from Marilyn Horne, it's like such a gift, right? So when I made that initial audition, she came up to me, we started having a little chat, and then I realized, she and I have a lot in common because she also started singing and training very, very young like me, and performing very young like me. And then she asked me, you know, do you want to audition for my other program that I have that's in Santa Barbara in California, which was the Music Academy of the West, and it was basically, and still is, a summer program for young and aspiring talents to learn from the best of the best for at least 3 months, 2 to 3 months. And I said, yeah, I mean, of course, I would love to. So I entered into that program when I was 19 years old. I was always the youngest of everybody because I just started very, very early on. And in a way, some of that was a bit intimidating because I was around 20-some-year-olds.
I cannot imagine.
It was intimidating. It was. And wanting to fit in and wanting to convince people, you know, I'm worthy of being here too. I'm taking it just as seriously as you are, I promise, even though I'm 18, 19. But having Marilyn there as my guide and as my advisor and even as my confidant, and I still see her in many ways as this, even today, she gave me this path that I could tread on with courage and with confidence. I used to call her up and ask her for her advice in many things. We used to go out to dinners and lunches, and she would tell me not just about, you know, her career, but about her life, and even giving me life advice. I remember Marilyn telling me, you know, having a career is wonderful, but remember, you're still a woman, you're still a girl, because I was a girl back then. And she said, don't allow for this career to make you completely lonely, to isolate yourself. Because she, you know, she had her relationships. She was married at some point. She has her daughter. She has grandchildren. You know, she really led a full life.
True.
And I'm very grateful for her for telling me that as well. That not everything is about just having a career. It's also about fulfilling your life and bringing your happiness and the joy that you live in your life on stage, right? She is a wonderful lady, I have to tell you, a wonderful lady, and very humble, very, very real woman. So I'm happy that you appreciate her as well.
I mean, she's no Amina, but I mean, she can tell you absolutely everything about bel canto and the coloratura and everything.
Yes.
If I were given $1 every time I listen to one aria of hers, oh God.
Incredible.
Yeah.
She also started initially as a soprano. You know, she sang Mimi even. So she's someone who really understands a full range of repertoire and voice, for that matter. Yeah.
And talking about Amina, well, off we go. We are about to start the performances. How do you see this Amina? Because I know Barbara's production is not the Amina that we are kind of used to seeing other performances. And actually, we were presenting for our friends the conference, and I was doing it because I kind of crazy about bel canto, and I was saying, I mean, there is quite this imbalance, even written in literature, in academic literature, about Hera Nelvino, the poor good girl who is kind of pointed out for every flaw that might be there in the armor, for every chink, versus Elvino, who is the rich one, who could have married Lisa, who is kind of auto-sustainable because he has the lodge and everything. So Barbara really highlights the whole thing. How do you kind of face this character?
I like that Barbara does this. I really like it because it doesn't happen very often that directors will want to highlight these kinds of issues. Because they're issues we still face today, you know, people being oppressed either in relationships or even from their own families, you know, or being forced into things, again, by probably their own families. And there's so much of that in opera, you know. I would say probably 99% of the roles that I play,
you bite the dust.
Right. These are the fates of these girls, and usually, typically, they're very young and very inexperienced. So I will say it's refreshing to have a director not only highlighting this themselves, but wanting me, asking me to give voice to that as well through my own actions and my own reactions to a character like Elvino, who, yes, it's a bit unfair what's happening, not even a bit, it is unfair.
He claims he's jealous of everything and everyone regarding you, so I mean, you just depart the game with all your cards against you.
Yes, and the moment, you know, he feels that there's one flaw, even though it's a complete misunderstanding and mistake, she's deemed as evil and, you know, probably a whore as well, and you know, these kinds of things. Poor girl, you know.
Sure.
And we have in this production what Barbara calls the shadows of Amina, which are dancers. They're fabulous dancers that are doing a lot of contemporary dancing with me, so I get to actually perform with them, and they're my subconscious. They're my subconscious come to life, and we get to see that. Sure. And probably there has never been, I don't think there has, a Sonnambula that has shown any of that. The psychology behind Amina's head and brain, and what's kind of happening in her psyche, and how this story with Elvino, and not only just Elvino, but society.
The choir, yeah. I mean,
everybody.
They are just pointing fingers all the time.
Yes, is affecting her, deeply affecting her. To a point where at the final scene, which I think is incredible, her being on top of this, the little church, and almost, I mean, about to fall to her death, we see the change of this joy of, oh yes, I want to marry Elvino, and then the question, will I, or will I jump to another fate. I never think that Barbara wanted Amina to jump to her death. That's not how I've translated it. It's more a jumping out of this society and out of this bondage that she has with Elvino. I think it's more a metaphor for that, because that is the final thing that we see in this production, and I love it.
I love it because it's like, do you really deserve me? I mean, I'm thinking about this because I should wait if I really want to be with you or not after everything that has happened.
Yes, and after how it's disturbed Amina's life, you know, so much. So yeah, it's obviously a different take on La Sonnambula, but I don't even know if it's that different. It's just highlighting the issues in La Sonnambula as a story.
Yeah.
That's all it's doing. It's not changing anything. It's just highlighting the issues, and perhaps with that being highlighted, influencing the motives of us, of what we do on stage and how we react to each other on stage. So yeah, it's added quite a bit of depth to this piece, which is very nice.
Eager for the 22nd. I mean, I watched it in Madrid, but I'm happy to just watch it again. Has things changed much, or?
Yes, things have changed.
Awesome.
They've changed because, you know, I mean, this was almost 3 years ago that we premiered this production with Xavier Anduaga.
And Fernando, no? He was also...
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, it was your Count Rodolfo in Madrid as well.
That's right. So all of us, we've changed in almost 3 years, you know. Our lives have changed. They've developed. Xavier, for instance, now has his first baby, who's almost 1 year old, and you know, he's even changed as a man, of course. And I've changed a lot as a woman. I've been through my own life experiences, and obviously we've had our career evolutions as well, playing other parts, and that, of course, influencing not only the way that we interact scenically, but how we interact vocally, because all of that experience only adds to how we sing at the end of the day. And I feel myself more of a more secure singer and artist now than I did 2.5 years ago.
Which reads very well with this Amina, which is like, you're not going to joke with me.
Right,
so.
Exactly. And of course, I mean, the score vocally is so demanding for both of them, for both Elvino and Amina. And to come back to the score now, having a bit more skill and tools and experience under my belt, I'm sure Xavier would say the same, it's adding another dimension. So I hope that you and the rest of the audience that watches it will witness that.
We'll be there for sure. Nadine, you've been very, very generous. So one last question, I promise you.
Yeah, please,
because you've been super, super generous. On your last show last Sunday, when we were like still clapping and saying, we love you, and Nadine, 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 you just said, let's hope for many, many years to come. So without revealing anything, will this romance keep going on?
Oh yes,
for many seasons,
darling. Yes, of course. I have a very strong relationship with this house, thankfully, and of course the artistic director Victor. He has invited me many, many times in the future, and anytime he asks me for anything, I'm always very excited to see what the project is and give him a confirmation. And of course I will come back anyhow soon after this for West Side Story.
True. We still have one more to go.
Yes. So yes, the romance is not over. If anything, this romance will evolve.
Happily ever after. Yes, for sure. Thank you very much, Nadine.
Thank you.
For your love towards Liceu, for your love towards the friends, and for your artistry. So thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Thank
Fins
you.
la propera, amics, amigues.